ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Geico, with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
AFC South Tour continues for the Bears. They are in Indianapolis to take on the Colts on Sunday at noon. You'll hear it on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. Welcome into Bears Etc., episode number 95 with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer, my broadcast partner. I'm Jeff Joniak, the voice of the Bears. Coming up in this episode, we'll be joined by Billy Brooks, the former outstanding 10-year wide receiver in the National Football League. Much of that with the Indianapolis Colts. He'll talk about his team over there, content guy for them and an ambassador. And we'll hear from some of the podium talk on Wednesday up at Hallishaw, including quarterback Caleb Williams and also wide receiver DJ Moore.
Episode 95, we're going to salute to Richard Dent, Super Bowl MVP and Hall of Famer. Thank you, Richard. You know, when you think about the Indianapolis Colts, the Bears have gone up to Indianapolis and they've had success up there. And so I expect that to continue to happen moving forward. I think we were impressed and saw a lot out of the defense in Houston. Unfortunately, they weren't complimented on the offensive side of the ball to, as DJ Moore said at the podium, find that one play. What is that one element of the offense that's going to turn this thing around? So I expect the defense to go up there and play. But, you know, they have some flashy components themselves. We saw Anthony Richardson in training camp last year. He got hurt early in the season, and he still has a tremendous upside. We don't necessarily where it's going and hope it doesn't start this week. But, folks, if this is the first time you're seeing this young man, expect to see one of the most dynamic athletes in all of the NFL.
Yep, 6'4", 250-ish, and runs a 4.4. So, I mean, he's got it all going on, and he's got a rocket cannon for an arm, and that'll be on display at times during that game. So,
Hopefully
also,
not.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, every ball in the air is an opportunity, right? For the defense also to make a big play.
Yes.
So, Gus Bradley coached defense over the years have not been a big blitzing team, but this year, through the first 2 weeks, they are blitzing among the top teams blitzing in the NFL for a variety of reasons. I'm not sure which. And until the Bears figure that out, the extras, the fifth or sixth man coming, they will continue to test that blocking scheme indeed.
Yeah, well, I think you blitz the opening game of the year when you know you're playing against a good quarterback, but it is at home. You have crowd noise support, so you bring a little bit of extras at the offensive lineman to see if they can withstand that type of numbers coming at you. And then what do you do in response as the quarterback? And then when you think of the game two, they go in there with a young, inexperienced quarterback in that system, and they try the same thing. So I expect it to continue this week. Not sure about the support of the crowd. Hopefully a lot of Chicago Bears fans buy tickets and travel to Indianapolis. But, you know, I'm not sitting here with my jaw wide open thinking, oh, my God, what happened in Houston is unrecoverable, because it's what I expected out of a young quarterback like Caleb to have some struggles in that type of atmosphere against that pass rush. So listen, folks, this is going to be about incremental improvement throughout the season. And eventually they are going to hit that high point. And Caleb's going to be able to find something within himself, within his team, within his offense that's going to help him tremendously. So let's just have some patience and see how things continue to improve.
And there was improvement. He outlined that as much. So has Matt Eberflus. This episode of Bears Etc. brought to you by Geico. Let's listen in to Caleb Williams at the podium on Wednesday at Hallishaw.
Communication-wise in the huddle and all of that, I believe we did a good job. And then I would say the pass game, rhythm and things like that felt good. Obviously, I had the two, stupid mistakes that, won't happen again. But, I think rhythm, pass game, getting the ball to receivers, I think I got better with getting the ball out my hands, it felt like. Trying to stay in the right range of timing for the offensive lineman myself. and the routes and things like that. So I think those are the few spots that I've gotten better at.
As this offense continues to evolve, and you've been in it for a while, what do you sense that you guys should be able to do really well soon?
Yeah, I think really well. I think one of the things we'll be able to do really well soon is I think we'll be able to run the ball. Trying to figure out exactly what runs fit best with our personnel, the people we have. I think that's the thing that's going to emerge here really soon. And having confidence and keeping steadfast with that. With running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, everybody. Having confidence that we're gonna break through and figure out exactly what what our personality is of the run. And then other than that, I think that's probably the one that I think is going to come faster than others.
Caleb, how much of an adjustment is the pressure in the pocket for you compared to what you dealt with in college and even what you dealt with in training camp, where there's some restrictions on how real that pressure can actually be in practice?
Yeah, the difference, I think the guys are just either a little bit older and things like that, and not meaning that as in like they're old and slow and things like that. They're older. They've been practicing these pass rush moves, all these different things for years now, over and over. They got guys, like we just played, and they got good guys on the edge that are, really good. And then they got the vet guy, and then they got the young guy, and they collaborate. They do well when they're in the field together and things like that. So I think just getting used to getting hit again. It's been a while. It's been since November 18th, since the last time I got hit. So just getting used to that, like really hit. And so getting used to that, getting used to having some games like that. It's the NFL. There's gonna be games like that throughout the years, and so making sure I take care of what I need to take care of throughout the the years, the weeks and things like that, to make sure that we can keep going and I'm able to go out there and prepare and play well.
To that end, are there things that you've learned through 2 games that you might have been successful with in college that you can't get away with in the NFL?
No. Play your game. Play within the the way that we need to play, the way that I need to play for the offense. Be efficient and make less mistakes each week. Don't make the same mistake over and over.
Caleb was talking about communication problems along the offensive line that may have contributed. What specifically does that mean? Are you involved in that? Like, can you explain?
Yes, I'm always involved in communication issues, because it starts with me in the center first, and then throughout the game a few times the clock got kind of low, and I was on a different cadence, not on a different cadence than the offensive line, but I was on a cadence that I didn't want or shouldn't have used, when the clock being that low, and obviously, you get the call in the huddle. You're in the huddle for however long, and then you get up there and you're like, you already called your cadence. And so trying to change the cadence at the line, instead of using some of our tools that we have, I think that comes with time. I think that comes with obviously more communication, for myself. And using the tools that I have to be able to get the ball off, even if I'm on a cadence that may be a little bit longer.
Caleb, I was looking at stats from your Heisman season, and you guys ran the ball really well at USC. What is the benefit that you learned then of having a robust run game, and how it makes your life easier?
Yeah, I think everybody knows that you've been able to run the ball well as a team, and do it effectively. Doesn't mean you have to run it 30 times. You can run it 15, and amount to the same thing, and be just as effective. So I think, like I said, everybody knows that having an effective run game just helps everything, and having an effective pass game helps the run game. So I think it's us playing together, the way that we should. When it's a pass, we're all detailed, dialed in. Routes are breaking off at how many ever steps, how many ever yards. We're holding up. I'm getting through my reads and things like that, not holding on reads, making adjustments with lines and things like that. And then, in the pass game for offensive line, head across hands or wherever hand placement needs to be, the track and the track between me and the back, my play fake and things like that, to make sure I'm trying to at least pull one or two people to open things up. Backside wins championships, front side wins games and things like that. So I think it's us just, Coach Flus talked about it's about the fundamentals and handling it the way we should.
Caleb, after you watched the tape, given how much we saw you get pressured this past week, what did you learn and how can you really better attack that pressure moving forward? Because Indy this week, obviously, they pressure a ton too.
Yep. I think one, communication. Two is making just faster adjustments throughout the game, having better communication between myself, coaches, and offensive line and things like that, making sure we're on the same page and making the adjustments we need to. In game, obviously you have adjustments and things like that you practice throughout the week, but the other team's job is to try and confuse you, throw different things at you, different looks, and so being able to adjust quickly in game, I think is the most important thing, and starts with communication.
Okay, so couple of things. The one that sticks out the most to me, first of all, you got to feel good about something every game. It can't just all be like a complete whitewash. So there was, but the emphasis on getting that running game going and that it could be close. Like that's the next step. Get that offense and figure out what kind of run game identity they're going to have. Do you have any suspicion based on the collection of backs, the outside zone scheme, the types of runs that you've seen so far, what type of run game are you expecting from the Bears as a whole as this season develops?
Well, outside zone scheme to me is I put a lot of emphasis on the running back being able to read where that opening is going to be offered to them and then just get the most out of it. We're not sitting here, again, talking unrealistically and think every running play is going to be a touchdown. And so when you talk about that outside, they have the speed in Khalil Herbert. They have the speed in DeAndre Swift. They have the ability in Roschon Johnson and Homer. So every one of those guys are capable of doing it. But the interior blocking schemes for any new offense takes a while to understand exactly and specifically how these things are going to open up from the first level to the second level. And the more the running back can understand what the offensive line is trying to do, the more that running back can set up those blocks of the offensive line. And I think when you go to an atmosphere like Houston, there's an interruption in the rhythm of the snap count. So it's going to be hard to be perfect in that interior running game. Reps will come. Improvement will come with reps, and I think when they start traveling on the road, they're going to have a better identity of where they're at, where their point of attack can be re-emphasized time and time again throughout the game, and then what type of running game are they. And then I think Caleb, the running game is not up to Caleb. The running game is up to the offensive line, the running backs, and the tight ends. Getting them in the right play, coming out of the huddle, when you call two plays, making sure you're calling the right one according to what you're seeing defensively. That's where Caleb can get involved.
Yeah, right now the Bears have had one big explosive passing play. They lead the NFL in negative plays, and many of that attributed to the sacks, but also the negative runs. So what have you seen on tape from the Indianapolis Colts? And we're also brought to you by Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. To find out what is hampering the Colts rushing defense, which right now is not good. This Colts rushing defense has given up nearly 500 yards, worst in the league. Both Texans and Packers had their way with them at the line of scrimmage in the run game.
They're still trying to figure out how they fit in from first level to second level, a lot like we talk about the offensive line, how they feel from the first level to the second level. And then DeForest Buckner got hurt. And I don't know if you still consider him a marquee defensive lineman. At one time in his career, he was. But does he still garner the same type of fear and respect that he did as a younger defensive lineman when he was playing with better teammates all around him defense? I'm not sure, but he's injured. He's on IR. He's not going to be there. So is his replacement going to be able to give that defense the length, the width, the pressure and everything that Buckner did? Or is he going to be a vulnerability in this defensive line that you're going to find a point of attack that you can go at repeatedly? So I still think this is a defense that's trying to figure out what type of plan, and do they need to do it by blitzing, or can they stay in a standard 4-3 and make the offense beat you instead of you putting yourself in a vulnerable position to give up big plays?
Well, let's find out a little bit more about that Colts defense from the first member of the Indianapolis Colts Ring of Honor, old number 80, Bill Brooks out of Boston University, a fourth-round pick of the Colts. He had a long career with the Colts and then 3 years with Buffalo and 1 with Washington. Also an executive with that franchise and the NFL Man of the Year in 1996. Over 8,000 yards receiving and 46 touchdowns in 169 games. Let's listen into our conversation with the former Colt.
Thank you.
The first touchdown pass of your career from former U of I quarterback, Jack Trudeau. Did you remember that even?
Yes. Well, thank you.
So, Bill, I got a question for you. Last year, Jeff and I were lucky enough to be in Indianapolis training camp for about 4 days and have a eyes-on approach to Anthony Richardson. Incredible athlete. First of all, started at the combine, but then when you see him in pads, incredible athlete, arm, talent, speed, strength. I thought that there was a quarterback that would be the biggest weapon in the red zone that I've ever seen with his running ability and his arm talent. If I said to you right now, Anthony Richardson is, you fill in the blank.
Wow. Anthony Richardson is an unfinished product, definitely right now. But I think also that he is a very talented young man, that he has all the physical tools that you are looking for in a quarterback. He can run, he's strong. He can throw the ball a mile. First game against the Houston Texans at Lucas Oil Stadium, he threw the ball 65 yards in the air for a touchdown to Alec Pierce. So the man has unbelievable talent. He just needs development. He just needs to have some more experience playing the game. And he can do a lot of things. One of the plays against Houston a couple of weeks ago was 4th down. We had to get a touchdown. He ran around the end there, and the guy came to tackle him. He just ran him over and plowed the pile into the end zone for a touchdown. So the man is big. He's strong, has a powerful arm. He just needs experience, needs to develop. And each week, we'll see him get better as the season progresses.
So throughout our time in the NFL, we got to see quarterbacks like Randall Cunningham or Michael Vick, and you played with some great quarterbacks as well. When you have a guy this talented, do you ever have to coach some of the talents out of him? Because our experience with Justin Fields was that he is such a dynamic athlete that he always had so much faith and confidence in himself. Sometimes you had to teach him how to throw the ball, when to throw the ball, and how to set yourself up inside the pocket. Is there any similarities to that with Anthony?
I think what you're talking about is mainly the guys are very competitive, and the guys believe in their abilities. And yes, I think sometimes you have to, especially young guys coming into the league, they believe that, you know what, they can make every play, they can make every throw, and they can hit all those throws that need to be made. And sometimes you need to throttle back those guys to say, look, this is how you need to read the defense, and this will make it a little bit easier on you going forward. And I think that's something that he's learning. But you don't want to take the competitiveness away from the young man. You want him to be competitive. You want him to use his talents to hopefully excel out there in the football field. And I think Coach Steichen and the coaching staff have found a nice balance with that, where, you know what, his first year, last year's first couple of games that he played, you know, he's trying to do a lot. But now I think going into the season, he understands that he doesn't have to do everything. He has other guys out there in the football field that can carry the load. Jonathan Taylor, one of the better backs in the National Football League, he can run the ball very well. So, you know, give some of the load to him. You know, hit Alec Pierce on some of those deep balls, hit Michael Pittman on them short over routes that, you know what, will get us a first down and keep drives alive. Unfortunately, we haven't done that as much as we wanted, as far as keeping drives alive thus far these first 2 games, but hopefully that will improve as the season goes on.
Yeah, just incredible, the time of possession difference in the first two games. That's not sustainable for any team, obviously, just about 20 minutes. But think about the production, though, in those 20 minutes. So that's what, if I'm looking at it as a Colts fan, I'm thinking, okay, I mean, this is pretty good. I got to ask you about Alec Pierce, local product. I'm friends with his family and here in Chicago. Looks like he's found a great spot right now in this offense as a big-time playmaker.
Yes, he has. Alec, I've always been high on Alec. I thought Alex had the talent to play in this league and to excel in this league. And he's done a nice job. You know, the first year he's just learning and developing. And then the second year, gotten a little bit better. But I think this year, what I've seen out of Alec is he has a lot more confidence now going into this season. He has a better feel for the offense. He understands what it takes to play in the National Football League. He wants to keep an even keel and just go out there and play hard each and every week. And you've seen that thus far this year. I mean, Alec has played extremely well. He's made some big plays, some over-the-top plays for touchdowns, went up to get a 50-50 ball, caught a touchdown again last week against the Green Bay Packers. So he's doing a nice job. And to me, he's not just a deep guy anymore. To me, he's a guy that's been developing and has developed the routes underneath as far as the over routes, the under routes, the shallow routes, the crossing routes. So I think he's developed a lot more of his tools, so to speak, as far as becoming a wide receiver, and it's starting to show right now. So I think it only will get better for Alec. Having a quarterback like Anthony that could put the ball right on you and also could put it deep, I think this is going to play into Alex's wheelhouse right now as far as his talent and his tools that he has.
Is the run defense and the defense in general, is that an outlier, those two games, in your opinion, based on the talents and what they plan on doing defensively?
I hope so, to be honest with you. I hope those two games are in the past and we don't have to relive those games anymore and they don't happen again. But you know what? We just have not been able to stop the run. And going into the season, that's one of the things that we thought we feel pretty good about this. We're strong against the run. We have a good front that could put some pressure on the quarterback, that can stop the run and hopefully get off the field. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. I mean, last week they, rushed for 200 and some odd yards in the first half alone, and that was just unbelievable. And as we talked about the time of possession, for the most part, they had the ball 40 minutes, and we only had the ball 19 minutes. Last week, in the first week, we only had it 20 minutes. So, as you said, we can't sustain that for the rest of the season. That's not a good recipe to win football games. And I think, they're going to have to rectify that. They're going to have to change that and change what they're doing on the defensive line and see if they can, get something that's going to be able to stop teams from running the ball. And, we have some guys that banged up as far as on the defensive line. DeForest Buckner is banged up. We don't know what his status is going to be this week, but hopefully that he can go, and we'll see what happens.
I look at the tape of the Indianapolis Colts, and still fresh in my mind is Houston. It seems like the biggest difference between the two teams is experience at the quarterback position. So are we walking into a similar style of plan that the Indianapolis Colts present, and maybe there's a little bit of carryover from the Bears game plan into this game plan?
Well, I'm not sure if there's going to be a carryover from what we did in Houston to Chicago, but I think what we'll see is hopefully a team that as far as Indianapolis Colts could do a better job of patrolling the ball, moving the ball, getting the ball downfield as far as on third down and being a little bit more successful on third down. And against Houston, the Colts were 50% on third down. This past week against the Green Bay Packers, we were only 22% on third down. And that's not a success for moving the ball, controlling the clock. And then also we have to, from a defensive standpoint, we're going to have to get the Bears off the field. And we didn't do that against Houston. So hopefully we can change some things that were against Houston, but I think we should be able to hopefully improve on those things as the season goes forward.
What is your crowd anticipation? Because Chicago travels well, and we're a 2.5-3 hour drive away from Indianapolis, and the opening season game here in Soldier Field, it was 98% Chicago fans. Now, I don't know how Indianapolis is about their ticket process, because are they ticket sellers or are they ticket keepers?
Good question. For the most part, we're the fans in Indianapolis are ticket keepers, and I expect the fans in Indianapolis to be loud and cheering for the Colts and rooting the Colts on. And I know there are going to be some Bear fans that come down from Chicago, and there are probably still some Bear fans here in Indianapolis from when Indianapolis didn't have a football team, and the team that they were rooting for were the Chicago Bears. So I'm sure there's still some fans here that will root for Chicago. But for the most part, I expected 90% to be the Indianapolis Colts and fans and those guys rooting for the team in blue and white, and not the team from up north in Chicago with the C on the side of their helmets.
Jeff and I also know Chris Ballard really well. And you think about the Indianapolis Colts and built in the eye and the talent evaluation of Ballard. When you talk about the injuries on the defensive side of the ball for Indianapolis, do they have guys that are going maybe not fill into the level of the people they're replacing, but do they have guys waiting in the wings for their opportunity to play?
Well, yeah, the guys are waiting in the wings to play and step up and hopefully make a play and make a name for themselves, because that's what's the name of the game, the next man up. Those guys have to step up, guys that are stepping in right now, that Julian Blackmon's out and Rodney Thomas has to step in, and Nick Cross goes to strong safety, and you have some guys like DeForest Buckner is out, and you got Taven Bryan that has to step in, some guys like that. So they need some guys to step up and make some plays. We have some depth at certain positions, and other positions that, we might not have as much depth as other positions. Juju Brent's one of the guys, corners that's he's out. So hopefully, we have guys step in. Samuel Womack played last week. Dallas Flowers played as well. So, these guys have to step up and make plays because if they don't, it's going to be a repeat of what happened last week in the first week. So I think these guys are capable of doing it. They just have to go out there and do it.
You also were in that organization's management structure as an executive after your playing career. And as a player, you were the NFL Man of the Year back in 1996, which many players now look at as the premier honor. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. At that time, it was the Byron Whizzer White Man of the Year. How does that resonate with you now, looking back at your career? Now you're working in content for the Colts, still have a hand in the game here as an ambassador with the Indianapolis Colts. So football has been your life post-career, even though you got your MBA. I believe it's Butler, right? You got it from Butler. Yes. You got your undergrad at Boston University. So some good schools, good education there.
Well, it was always important for me, no matter what I was going to do in life, to try to see if I can give back to the community, whatever community I was living in at the time. It was very important to me. Growing up, I saw my mother. She was a beautician by trade, and on her free time, her days off, she would work and help other people. She would go to hospitals and try to help other individuals and maybe do their hair if they were, the people in the hospital allow her to do their hair, and so the women can feel good about themselves, and because they're in the hospital and they couldn't do a lot for themselves at the time. So she would do that and give back, and she would always enjoy that, and she would have a smile on her face when she comes home from doing that, and she really enjoyed that, and she always enjoyed putting a smile on someone else's face, and that's what made her smile. So I got it from my mom. She always gave back, so it was something that I wanted to do, to try to give back as much as I can to the community in any way I can to help other people out, and just be thankful for what I was blessed with, to be able to play a sport that I had a platform where I could hopefully help someone out, and I still enjoy doing that.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us to take a look at the Bears and Colts, and we'll see you in Indianapolis, Bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you guys when you come to Indy.
All righty. Take care. Always appreciate the knowledge drop from the opposing teams, Tom. We do learn a lot. PNC Bank is also one of our sponsors. PNC, official bank of the Bears. What have you learned about watching the offense now of the Indianapolis Colts? I always point right to Jonathan Thayer, outstanding back, average over 8 yards a carry. Then they didn't use him in the fourth quarter. I know he dropped a couple passes, and they were working from behind, but it was a tight game. It was a one-score game. They've lost 2 one-score games. That's it.
To me, because of what I saw in the combine of Anthony Richardson, it's hard to take my eyes off of what he can do and what he has access to do, because he is still in the learning stages, even though this is the second year of his offense and he kind of just sat in meetings in the first year's offense. But he still has Michael Pittman. He still has your buddy, Alex Pierce.
Alec Pierce
that can make big catches. They have solid players at the tight end position, but it's all about the process of the defense of how quickly you make the quarterback think. And that's when you can become disruptive to his arm ability, to his escape ability, but you don't want to give him those type of outlets. And they have a good offensive line. They got power on the inside still. And, but when you look at the efficiency of this offense, it's what are you going to allow this quarterback to do, and how is he going to expose his athleticism to you as a defense?
The first two teams, and we touched on it, time of possession, 60 minutes and 11 seconds. That's more than a full game in two games for the offenses of the Packers and the Texans. That's not going to continue, you don't think? But here's another one. He's thrown against man coverage 2 interceptions. He only has 1 completion in man coverage. So would you man cover the Indianapolis Colts with that in mind?
I would, because I respect our pressure. When you have man coverage and maybe you can take one extra body and put it in the box where you're going to pressure the quarterback. And again, I don't think you're going to spy Anthony Richardson, because I don't know if there's anybody that can really match up to him to spy. I'm going to put bodies in his face to try to increase his timing. And that's when you throw those vulnerable passes against man coverage that can become intercepted. And then if he becomes one-dimensional in man coverage and he only tries to attack Tariq Stevenson rather than going in Jalen Johnson, then it gives your defense a chance to adjust to that. And now maybe you favor a safety in his direction. Maybe you continuously have Jalen Johnson on whomever you think is their best receiver, or will he stay on one side of the field? And I still think, I think it's incredible defense to explore, only because I have a variety of pass rushers that can come from a variety of angles. My second and third level rushers can contribute as well. And then I have depth in my rushes between Sweat, Booker, Taylor, DeMarcus Walker, and the rest of the guys from the inside.
Vizzy Hard Seltzer, flavors for every vibe. Celebrate responsibly. Molson Coors Beverage Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's look at a couple of injury notes. Keenan Allen, as of Wednesday, not practicing. Tevin Jenkins got a deep thigh bruise. They're not too concerned about that one, but not practicing. Just out of the gate, the Keenan Allen issue with the heel. I don't know when that thing is going to heal up, pardon to use the expression, but, it does give, again, opportunity, but missing a very important piece to this offensive puzzle. Was targeted 10 times in the opener.
Yeah, we all knew that he was going to be an important piece of this puzzle since the trade was made and he came aboard. But again, it is about that next man up mentality. And if that increases the reps for Rome Odunze, or maybe gives Tyler Scott or Colin Johnson a couple of extra reps, they're guys that, they still piqued our interest during the end of the preseason. So see where they can contribute. You still have the tight end position that can contribute. And I don't think I change any philosophical thinking without having Keenan Allen on the field. And now I got to be interested in Tevin, because one thing, you get a deep thigh bruise as a football player. If you don't have even powerful push, maybe sometimes you can't make a block at a point of a direction or get up to the second level with bend and athleticism, and that starts affecting a portion of the offensive line. I know Matt Pryor is going to get reps today, and if you feel on game day he gives you a more powerful point of attack option, it's something that you can't shy away from.
Also injured, Zach Pickens' groin, so he's still dealing with some tissue issues. Deshaun Mallory from Bolingbrook brought back to the team on the practice squad.
Right.
Kari Blasingame still not able to practice as well. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, right here at home, driving access toward healthier communities through it all. Also at the podium on Wednesday, DJ Moore. Some frustration showing on him throughout the game. He kind of joked around the fact that the camera must have been following him around because they're picking up every vibration, right? When things aren't going well, they're going to look for problems. None that we're worried about at all. But, this guy is a big-time competitor. He takes it very personal. He takes it very – I remember back at training camp a year ago on a deep ball, didn't make the connection with it, went back, was frustrated, talked it out. He always is trying to find that edge. And so I appreciate his approach 100% of the time. I'm never worried about him showing up a quarterback or anything like that.
Me either. That's just ridiculous conversation that wastes time on a podium Wednesday. DJ Moore is one of the best pros that I've ever been around for a short period of time that I can't wait to see more of throughout his Bear career. The guy is a legitimate stud, and anything facial expression, I don't know how you can sit there and read it from a booth and say, oh my God, this is what it means, or he's saying. No, he's frustrated because he wants the Bears to win. And when he was up at the podium and we addressed it, he was talking about searching for that one big play. And you know who wants to make that one big play more than anybody? DJ Moore. And so whether I was coming off the field after I gave up a sack with complete disappointment in my expression, or just the frustration of not being able to make that one big play that can open up your offense, it's just a lot of facial expression readers that really don't mean a lot with a pro like DJ.
Hey, you real quick before we end this thing, Steinhoffel's an employee-owned furniture and mattress store. Visit any of their 4 Chicagoland locations in Vernon Hills, Crystal Lake, Downers Grove, and Harwood Heights, or shop online at steinhoffels.com. What is the mentality of a defense after 1 week giving up 213 yards, the next week giving up 261 in that first half against the Packers? It was brutal. I know I'm going back to it, but what frame of mind does that put a defense in as they prepare on a Wednesday and a Thursday for their next opponent, who knows that they're probably going to give it a shot and run the ball as much as possible until it's stopped? It's no different than the same thing the Bears offense is thinking about pass pressure. What is that mentality after you just gave up almost 500 yards rushing?
You took the answer right out of my mouth, because what they're doing is they're searching for answers. They're not necessarily looking for new defensive configuration and all of a sudden going to go to a 3-4 defense from a 4-3 because they're searching for answers about a half of football. They're just trying to make sure their personnel understands it to the point where they fit perfectly together, whether it's coverage on the deep end or how the defensive line and the linebackers fit against the running game. And make sure everybody's in the right position with anticipation so they can go out and make the plays that's expected of them. And it's a lot like the Bears offense. When you go through training camp and Caleb has a red jersey on, you really don't understand reality football until you start playing these games, when it's their job to shrink your space and your job to hit the receivers in stride, make the right call at the line of scrimmage, have an organized cadence, break the huddle with an understanding of the cadence you called according to the time left on the play clock. It's two different elements of two different teams searching for the answers, how to cure themselves the quickest. And so I just think it's kind of the same for both teams.
I love nickel backs, right?
Yeah,
I love the nickel blitz, all that. These are two of the best right now in the league. Kenny Moore, he's been around a long time. He is a valued, passionate player who can blitz. He is a good tackler, and he was somebody that Matt Eberflus really developed when he was there with the Indianapolis Colts, and now in his 8th year, still a team captain and still a big part of that defense, a guy to watch. And then on the Bears side, Kyler Gordon, if you dig in deep to what he was doing on Sunday and what he's done so far, and if, knock on wood, he stays healthy, he's a terror. Tom, he's terrorizing. He's reading things quickly and punishing. And when he was corralling that one play when he's trying to rip it, he read it beautifully, and he's just raking, trying to – this guy's playing at a very high level.
Right. But, he's got instincts that you can't coach or teach. He has an understanding because there was a play last year when he blitzed off the right-hand side of the offense, and he knew that the tackle was going to come out and block him. And he was shoulder dipping already in his rush that made himself unhittable, and he went and hit the quarterback. So he understands his assignment. Then he understands what position he has to put his body in to make sure he stays unblockable or in a tackling position. And those aren't things that you sit there and watch on tape and you go, oh, Kyler, when you're here, you got to dip your shoulder 1.5 feet above the ground, keep in full forward motion, and then reach out and sack the quarterback. No. He understands his assignment according to the defense called. Then he puts himself in a position where he's difficult to hit, unblockable, or in the right angle that he can make the play. And that's what's super cool to watch a guy like that play. And it is contagious. And sometimes he's the type of guy that can have a conversation with even a linebacker, and he could tell them what he's thinking about when you put him in this position to attack at that angle to sweep the legs out of a ball carrier.
On the near interception and pick six, we're all fascinated with the fact that he almost swiped that football, but the coverage aspect of that, coming off and then coming down to attack that level, the quarterback thought he had a free ride. He didn't give him the free ride. He left his man, and that was a baiting situation, and he almost baited him into a pick six. So those are the types of plays, and he's fast. I just hope he stays healthy this year.
I think with all the defensive backs coaches, and Matt Eberflus bragged about John Hoke earlier in training camp, those are the types of things that can be coached, that can be put in your mind to think of when you see him in the lineup in this formation. The down and distance, what hash there are. And so knowing what to expect allows him to start thinking more quickly about what he can do to have an abundance of success or success on that specific play.
Good news, Chicago United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and a room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. That's going to wrap us up. We've got more this week. Bears Weekly on Thursday on ESPN 1000 at 6:30. Our guest will be Tyreek Stevenson, the Bears cornerback, with a pick six on his resume already here for 2024. I will let you go. Thanks for listening, everybody. Special thanks to Bill Brooks from the Indianapolis Colts. For Tom, I'm Jeff. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down.